are going to take a few minutes here and we're going to talk about the coronavirus. We've had a lot of questions come in, and we need to deal with this, specifically since we're talking about getting rid of fear. This is a good case in point that we can just put some shoe leather to this. So I just want to go through some things, and then I'm going to question some things, not trying to belittle anything, but question some things. This first group of slides I got from Worldometer. It's an online thing. It's talking about the coronavirus or the COVID-19 mortality rate. This was last updated February 18th. So the stats are a little bit old. The next slide gives the stats. This one I picked yesterday was updated the 28th. So this was updated on Friday. It says on Friday around the world, 83,906 people have been infected, 2,869 deaths. The ones that have fully recovered at this point are the 36, almost 37,000. Of course, the difference between, if you put the deaths and the recovered together, the difference in between is they're still recovering. So there is the worldwide picture on this, and you've probably heard this numerous times this week, but get it planted in your mind. We're going to talk about it a bit. Here is the mortality rate according to age groups, and I don't know if it's something that you can zoom in on that little chart at the bottom or not. If not, download it and look at it. But according to your age group, you have different mortality rates. 0 to 9 years old, nobody's died in the world from coronavirus. From 10 up through 39, it's a 0.2% mortality rate. And then 40 to 49, it jumps up to 0.4, 50 to 59, 1.3%, 60 to 69, 3.6. All the way when you get to the top, 70, 79 is 8, and then 80 years and older is 14.8% mortality rate. The reason for this is a lung or a respiratory virus, and the older you get, the less ability you have to fight those kind of things off, like pneumonia or flu or things like that, anything in the respiratory system. And or they say a lot of the statistics of the younger people, younger than 80 or 79, they already have something they're fighting with. So they're already weakened, and as a result, the mortality rate. So we'll go to the next slide. This breaks it down. I didn't realize this, so I thought, well, let's throw this in. The top little chart says that male death rate is 2.8%, female is 1.7% in their study there. And then in the bottom chart, it talks about cardiovascular disease. If you have that, the death rate is higher, 10.5%. If you have diabetes, it's 7.3%. Worldwide, they're saying it's about 3%. Some say 2.5%, some say 3%. So that means if you get it, out of 100 people, 3 people will die. Mostly old people, because they're not as good at fighting it off. Okay? So this thing has become huge in the news, and the first death in the United States from it happened yesterday. World travel is restricted. Conferences are being shut down. Even in the United States, conferences are being shut down. Eric was supposed to be gone this morning at an event down in the cities, and they canceled it because of coronavirus. To my knowledge, there's nobody in the cities who's got the coronavirus. So to me, it's like, why are we, it feels like we're making a bigger deal out of this than we should be. And of course, the question in my mind is why, but it's absolutely fear-mongering. I mean, this is just kick the world into fear. Here's some examples of that. CNN says officials at the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention have warned us that the novel coronavirus will spread in U.S. communities. Second paragraph, health officials say now is the time for people in the United States to prepare for canceled events, closed schools, interrupted work, and for the potential of widespread illnesses. No one knows what the community spread will look like in the United States. It could be mild or severe, but get ready for severe. What should I buy? Down at the halfway down, it says, Department of Homeland Security says before the pandemic strikes. See, they're already like, this is going to happen. You need to have 2 weeks supply of water and food, as well as any medications you're on. Make sure you have extras, and whether they're prescription, non-prescription drugs. This one is the next PowerPoint is another one. It says a U.S. coronavirus outbreak is almost inevitable. Then they talk about here is how it can prepare. And the next one says practice good hygiene and health habits. Well, shouldn't we be doing that anyway? You know, it's like, okay. But it's all right to remind us. I mean, they're trying to do what they can. Be prepared to stay home. It says talk with your employer about the company's work from home and sick leave policy in case any outbreak event takes place. Schools will be closed, so you need to ask about, you know, how that's going to work with your school officials, as well as you're going to have different daycare arrangements, unless you're staying home. Large group gatherings may be canceled, including concerts, religious services, public events. Keep up with the local announcements to find the cancellations. So this is what you need to do to start preparing for this outbreak that's coming. The next one is what to do if you have a household member that has symptoms of this. Gives that what to do if you are healthy and you have to go outside. That's that. Flip up the next PowerPoint. It's on the next one. It's the middle there. What do you do if you are healthy but you have to go outside in an affected area? Ooh. Should you wear masks? Should you? They're kind of treating it like the plague. And from my perception, I think it's a total overreaction. This is my personal opinion, and I'm going to give you why. I'm questioning what the larger agenda is behind this. Because you can never take anything at face value when it comes to the news and the government. I mean, it's like,
President Trump caused the whole thing.
he probably didn't. He's saying the Democrats are pushing this now, and it gets funny. But let me tell you why I think there's an issue here. This next slide is from Statista, and I'm going to compare something. Alcohol-related deaths worldwide as of 2018. Okay, now stop and hear this. The top line that's underlined there, and if you download it on your device or something, you'll be able to read it real easily. The number of deaths per year worldwide that are alcohol-related are 3 million. Wow. Now, we've had 2,800 or 900, let's give it the benefit of that. We got 3,000 deaths worldwide now from the coronavirus. Let's go on the heavy end. Woo! Get ready. We're about to burn the world down. We have 3 million deaths a year worldwide from alcohol. Who's screaming about alcohol? Someone who's good with math or has a calculator on your phone or something, can you divide 3 million by 52 so we can get how many that is per week?
57,692.
We have 57,000 plus dying every week worldwide from alcohol-related stuff. And we have almost 3,000 people total now in the last months worldwide from coronavirus. And we're freaking out over the coronavirus. Does something seem off here? The percentage of deaths worldwide, this is still that first one there. If you're going to die in the world, 5.3% of the world's population will die from an alcohol-related disease. 2.5 to 3% of the population is dying from the coronavirus. It's about, alcohol's here, coronavirus is about half. Really? Get ready for quarantine and lockdown and... Go to the next slide. This one is in the United States. This isn't worldwide. The top 4 number of deaths by risk factor. The top four. High blood pressure is the first one. Smoking is the second one. High blood sugar is the third one. And obesity is the fourth one. In 2017, if you add those four up, the 1.7 I drew in, 1.7 million people in the United States died of those four things. As of the 28th, or Friday, 2,869 people died worldwide from the coronavirus. If you go down the chart a little bit to where it says alcohol use, in the United States, 80,986 people die every year from alcohol use. Every year.
Just out of curiosity, is that alcohol-related illness, and does it include alcohol-related accidents? Do you know?
Accidents are, I think it's all part of it, but accidents are still coming. They break that out. But I don't know. They didn't give statistics as to, I'm pretty sure it ties into if you die of cirrhosis of the liver because you were a drinker, they put that under alcohol. Or drunk driving, that kind of thing. Here's my point. We have over 1,500 people a week dying from alcohol use in the United States. A week. Over 1,500, 1,500, it's 1,000, I figured it out, it's 1,000, between 1,500 and 1,700. Don't remember the exact number. A week. Coronavirus has taken out in the world what we do in 2 weeks from alcohol in the United States. Coronavirus is a pandemic, so what in the world is alcohol? National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, the next slide, alcohol facts and statistics. People 18 and older report 55.3% report they drank in the last month. So half of the population, adults, drank in the last month in America, in the United States. This is the United States. They drank. So let's go with that thought. Yeah, but they didn't drink to excess. Well, let's all get the coronavirus. Let's just not die. Coronavirus is good for you if you don't die from it. Alcohol is great for you if you don't die from it. It's a drug that will kill you one way or another. Prevalence of binge drinking and heavy alcohol use, 18 years old and older, 45% of adults binge drink once a month. And that's important for the next slide. The next slide, we'll just go there. It's the second one down. It says economic burden. You're going to have a tough time reading that unless you download it. In 2010, must be the last statistic they could find, alcohol misuse cost the United States $249 billion in 1 year, just the United States. 3/4 of that cost, so about 160 plus billion, was tied to binge drinking. 160 billion tied to binge drinking. So you've got, again, the repetition of the alcohol-related deaths up there at the top. The second one in, this answers that driving question. In 2014, alcohol-impaired driving fatalities accounted for 9,967 deaths, 31% of the overall driving fatalities. So if someone in the United States is going to die from a car accident, 1 out of 3 of them will be tied to alcohol. Now just stop and think about that in comparison to what they're blowing the coronavirus up into be. If you're going to die on the road driving, 1 out of every 3 will be because of a drunk or alcohol-impaired driver. And that's not an epidemic? Really? 5.9% of the deaths around the world are attributed to alcohol consumption. So the next one goes back to that first one we saw, the corona cases, the deaths, as of Friday, February 28th. I just want you to grab that in your mind here just for a second, because I'm going to go to, you can skip the next one. Go to the 327.2 million PowerPoint. Here's the population of the United States in 2018. So now the next one is that previous slide that broke down the deaths percentage-wise by age. So what I did is I took that graph on the bottom. You can go to the next slide. This just shows you where I got it from. I got it from Statista. It's up in the right-hand corner, maybe. The next slide down is where I took those statistics and I applied them to the population of the United States. Because, okay, we definitely can't go into fear over this. We have to. I mean, as we get into end times, the Bible warns more and more of this kind of stuff's going to happen. The church has to be in a spot, the Christian has to be in a spot to be a help to the world, not a hindrance. So let's take worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, everybody in the United States gets this. Out of the top section, out of the 0 to 9-year-olds, that means 40 is the number of people in that group. 40 million people in the United States are 0 to 9 years through 9 years old. Out of that group, no one will die. 0. It's the red 0. The next group is the 0.2% of these people will die, age 10 to 39. There's 131 million of those. 262,000 would die if everybody got it. The next group down is the 0.4%, and you can just kind of work your way down. You've got the percent on the left side, the 1.3, the 3.6, the 8. That's how many people in that age group will die. On the right side, in the green, you've got the population, and they're all millions. 37.4 is million. The greens are all millions. And then the red is the numbers written out. Like, for instance, the 80 and older, 14.8% of them would die if everybody got it. There's 6.1 million of them living in the United States, which means 907,240 people would die according to current fatality rate. So if you add those all up, we could have approximately 4,100,000 people dying in the United States from coronavirus. So, worst case scenario, yeah, it could become significant. So let's not deny that fact. Worst case scenario could become significant. That many people could die. But remember, 1.7 million people every year die in the United States from the top 4, which is diabetes and heart disease and preventable things. 1.7. So it's about a 2.5-year thing. We lose that many anyway. Okay? So you got to keep it in perspective. But if everybody gets it, 4 million people dying in the United States, that won't be a small thing. Chances of everybody getting it, really poor. Which comes to us as the church. Have we been praying and dealing with this? We are to rule and reign in this earth. What have we done with the coronavirus in prayer? Have we taken our stand and said, no, this thing's going to die out? Or are we just freaked out about oh, did you hear about it? That's fear. We don't want to live in fear. And this is the main thing I wanted to give the reality check on this morning. Psalms 91 says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide. Verse number 4 and 5 and 6 specifically says you won't fear the pestilence at daytime or the plague that destroys the nighttime. Worse is coming in the future, Luke 21. But before all these things, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons. You will be brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. Are we ready for that, or are we going to freak out over that? Luke 21, 16 through 19, you will be betrayed by parents, brothers, relatives, friends. They'll even put some of you to death. Ready for that? You know how Christians deal with their fear concerning that? They go to a pre-tribulation rapture philosophy. Well, I won't be here. You don't have to worry about it. No, you got your head stuck in the sand. What if that's wrong? You realize when an ostrich sticks their head in the sand, their whole body is, they're an easy target. They can't even see it coming. You will be hated by all for my name's sake, but not a hair of your head shall be lost. Verse 18. Oh. How? Verse 19. By your patience, possess your souls, Jesus said. New King James Version. Verse 19, Luke 21. Some of you, verse 16, will be put to death. Some of you won't even lose a hair of your head because you possessed your soul by patience. You took control of this and set your faith on some things. You didn't just let your soul or your emotions, your mind, everything just kind of run rampant. Those people will be put to death. The ones who by patience grab that soul and say, no, we're not going to fear this. We're not going to freak out over this. We're not going to have a bad day over this. We're going to beat this. Not even a hair of your head will perish, Jesus said. So we have to stand solid in faith. Our job is to refuse to give in to fear. We have to understand what fear is and refuse to give into it. For instance, fear, something bad's going to happen. That's just kind of the rule of thumb. Oh man, this coronavirus thing, something bad's going to happen. That's fear. That anxiety, when you hear about, oh, just turn that off. I don't want to hear that anymore. Why? You need to question, you need to go deeper into your being and ask why. What just bothers me? Why? Well, because I don't like that kind of news. Why? See, now I'm interrogating your subconscious, which we haven't gotten to that yet. It won't happen this Sunday or next Sunday, but hopefully the following we'll go through those steps and begin laying out how we deal with our insides. The problem with Christians is this. We have all the answers in the book, but what we do is make excuses for how we think and feel. And we don't take what the book says and drive, well, I just feel funny about these kind of things. And you're good with that? You're going to leave that there. See, that's your subconscious. That's why you feel funny. Well, I just, too much talk about the coronavirus, it just kind of makes me anxious. Where do you think that's coming from? And you're good with being fearful? Because that's what anxiety is, it's fear. You're good with that. See, a lot of Christians, well, in my 5% brain, I'm on this. And the rest, I just go into denial too. We just turn the TV off. We just don't want to talk to these kind of people. We're just not going to listen because it just bothers me. That bothering you is unbelief and fear. We need to take the principles and drive them all the way through us, not just the 5% part. So, we need to put our fire suit on, which goes into the next message, which we're going to start here directly. But let me say this. I don't trust this thing any further than I can throw it. I grew up on a farm, and just because one cow caught pneumonia, the whole herd did not get it. Just because one cow caught some kind of disease, it didn't just spread through everything. This thing of, oh, the whole thing's going to come crashing in on us. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Especially if we as Christians stand up and say, you know what, we're done with this. This coronavirus is going to die out and leave us. And call it. Command that thing dead. It's going to just die down. It's going to leave us. Be amazed how quickly this thing's going to take a nosedive. So here's my question. All this hyper fear-mongering. You might have to stay home. You might have to lock your door. You might have to hunker down. Be ready for a prolonged thing in the house because You can't go outside. You never know who's going to get bit. Pastor, are you mocking? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Faith people don't talk like that. So, yeah, I'm mocking it. But here's my question. I don't think they said the coronavirus came from bats in China. That's where it started. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if this was man-made and was injected into society like Lyme's disease. Lyme's disease was man-made and got away on them, and here we are now. The whole nation pretty much is exposed to it. I'm not sure if this is that or not, but here's my question. Here we've got something that can become a huge issue. Is this becoming a huge issue because the powers that be, which are way bigger than our government, we're talking world powers, the powers that be want to run a little test run and see how the population of the world responds to hyper fear and, not epidemic, pandemic, a worldwide issue. Because remember, scripturally speaking, the long-term goal, United Nations says it themselves, the long-term goal is a one-world government. Yep. The easiest way to put quarantine and martial law and these kind of things into place is through something like this. I don't think it's happening now, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if this isn't a test run to see how will people respond to this. Because their agenda is way bigger than what our minds work in. So, get your faith suit on. Learn how to dig into what in the world, why does this bother me? Why can't it play on the news? And I sit there going, well, whatever. It's not touching me. And I'm at total peace, totally relaxed. Oh, no, it gets me uptight. Well, that's fear. Chances are it's coming out of your subconscious if you don't know why. Well, I don't want to die. Seriously? As a believer who knows faith and the promises, you're concerned about dying over this? Amen. Serious? We got some series online. ABCs of Faith. I'd recommend starting there. And get your fire suit on. Get ready. So anyway, there's my spiel on the coronavirus. Had too many questions coming in. I said, I don't want to repeat this every day to 3-4 people, so let's just deal with it publicly.